What's going
Yo,
on? Welcome to another episode of Save the Date. I'm one of your hosts, Heath.
what's good, everybody? It's Jamie. How y'all doing out there?
How are you doing?
Little temperature check.
Yeah. What's the thermostat going to be? Uh-oh.
I tell
Another
you what,
thermostat on this beat.
hours, however you want to look at it. Figuratively, it's either on like ice cold right now
Ice
or
cold.
it's scalding hot
Yeah,
because things have pushed us to an extreme. We're
yeah,
feeling it. The
yeah,
fatigue
guys.
is real.
Yeah, we're just one of those days where I think Jamie and I are questioning our role in the
Mm-hmm.
dating, love, and relationship space with Save the Date. We go through these occasionally because I think it's always proper to take your car in for maintenance. And this is basically a maintenance episode. Feel free to skip if you're binge watching or binge listening. And if not, stay with us for the next half an hour because it won't be long of us just talking about in this pit stop what's been going on with us and us assessing our utility in this space. Always check us out at TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Save the Date Now. And I think that for me, this whole Meg and Clay conflict really brought to light to me how exhausted I am with some of the, what I would consider basic or elementary conversations that I keep having. I told Jay it's like showing somebody first grade math for 10 years straight and they're still not getting it.
If Johnny has 3 apples,
But it was there with the
you
belt.
take
Your
2
mom,
away.
yeah. How many apples does he have left?
6. Wait, we started with 3, Holmes.
Yeah. And learning math concepts.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle to get it. But if you're still doing it 10 years later, then there's a larger conversation that needs to happen. And that doesn't mean someone's stupid or retarded, any of those horrible words that we've banned in our public discourse around people in conversations. But it does leave you asking, maybe I'm using the wrong pedagogical approach. Maybe I'm taking the wrong road to the destination of healing, understanding, and togetherness. Togetherness being one of our founding principles of Save the Date. And I think the Meg thing really exhausted me because, from my perspective, meaning me, what I was doing and how I was framing the issue, was all about humanity, respecting someone's humanity, and feeling that I had to explain to people Meg Thee Stallion's humanity in the situation. Now, that doesn't mean I think Meg is right. That doesn't mean everything about that situation I understand. Doesn't mean that the way she put that message out there, I'm in agreement or disagreement. There's a ton of things you can analyze in that situation. But the arguments that came out and the labeling, accusations, the anger, the war-torn stories that started to emerge from just a simple announcement of a celebrity breaking up with another celebrity just really started to rattle me after a few days from last week to this week and made me realize, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Does this make any sense that I have to explain someone's humanity to another individual? In this case, it was Meg. In some cases, I may be talking about men and a man's humanity or the little boy inside of a young man. It's just on both sides within the midst of the gender war, there seems to be a tendency to overlabel, criticize, destroy, attack, bomb out the quote unquote opposition. And it has become exhausting to keep having these conversations about treating people like human beings, treating people and respecting humanity. Saying to people, if that's the way you label somebody, are you willing to be labeled when your stories come to the forefront?
Because they are coming.
They are coming. Looking at the ways in which, in my estimation, a woman could do one thing, a man could do another, and it's labeled, categorized, and judged and assessed differently. These are all just tiresome conversations that I'm having and asking myself, and I called Jay today and vented to him, how do I move forward? And while I respect how useful and how young I am in my middle ages and thinking about, can my time be spent in a better way, a more effective way, with a crowded, what I perceive to be a crowded dance card. I mean, there are a number of qualified, great dating podcasts out here. Jay and I can speak at length about some of the podcasts that we admire in this space. Maybe we'll have an episode where we just talk about them each. And you just start to wonder, what is this truly all about if I have to keep having the same conversation over and over again? And it seems like there is no true market penetration or movement towards understanding. That's just one issue I was dealing with. So let you jump in.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, like you're talking about, the fatigue is real. I think I came from it from a standpoint of like, all of the thoughtful work that we put into titling, captioning, describing the content that we come up with and disseminating across all of these different platforms. And it's just like, it seems like there is a readiness to combat it more than a readiness to understand it and to resonate with it, which that's the purpose that we put forth behind it. Like you're talking about, we're trying to promote togetherness and we're trying to promote an end to the gender war, but it seems like these echo chambers at the macro and micro level are so loud with rage and anger, like you talked about, and just people are they're not really listening to understand anymore. We become detached from understanding. Just a simple person to person, I should know what it feels like. Even if I've never been cheated on, I should be able to sympathize with someone who's going through a heartbreak because
Mhm,
I've been through one.
mhm, mhm.
So
Yep.
regardless if they got there by being promiscuous and then they ended up there, or they were a good person and someone broke their heart, I should be able to sympathize with that. Like you're talking about, we shouldn't have to be having these very simple, basic, primal conversations about humanity when, to use a religious phrase, but we've all fallen short of the glory
Yes,
of God. You know what I mean? And it's like
absolutely.
we're so ready to judge others when they fall, but I always like to draw that analogy where it's like, yo, if you picture yourself on a firing squad, as soon as you click your rifle to shoot, you're gonna hear some clicks behind you.
Yeah, if you're ready to accept that, then go ahead and fire.
Then fire away.
If you could be Neo in the Matrix and duck under and change the code and get away, hey, then shoot all you want. Makes
As
sense to
Jesus
me.
said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Like if you cool with it and you know your slate is clean, you're not in the red nowhere, hey man, fire away.
That's one of my favorite scriptures and stories, precopes, as they say, of Jesus because of this idea of redemption
Hmm.
and judgment and just the human way. The human way is to kill and destroy at times, but also the human way is to be responsive to a larger calling for mercy, grace, and redemption. And it highlights that very well with Jesus's intervention on this woman's behalf when she's brought before him ready to be unalived.
Hmm.
And that's what I think I have a problem with online is so much of the gun pulling. Your man said to Anakin, I have the higher ground. And people waiting for you to jump so they can slice you in two. They wait,
Yeah.
they waiting to, slice you in two.
As if they're perfect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As if they're judge, jury, and execution, as the old phrase goes. And when you're doing this work and you are trying to promote togetherness and you are trying to find a way to penetrate the gender war, you're just saying, imagine a desert. Where are the oases? Where are the oases? And it's becoming a little harder to identify them. Again, there's some podcasts I think that definitely do that. But just as general, there's so much punditry that's allowed, obviously, because anybody with a mic like us can be out here
Hmm.
and you could really just cater to people's tastes, wants, or rage itch and just scratch their rage itch and you're here. The main issue with the internet is porn. And as I said before, it's not just porn about sex or bodies in motion. It's outrage porn. It's that it
Yeah.
allows for the ubiquitous and constant cadence of content that almost scratches some kind of deep need itch that would not be able to be met in that same cadence or in that same ubiquitous nature offline.
Yeah. The ideology porn.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
we
yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah. People who are just into your interests or into how you think and believe, and people just ranting and raving, and people saying, I stick with this. And it's just a double down, double down, double down. And it's quite jarring. And it leaves you saying, I got other things to do. I got other things to do. Then stay here and explain kindness 101, explain, humanity 101, human 101.
Yeah, and I feel that. I feel that. I mean, and it's particularly with, all of the narratives, like you said, amidst in the gender war that like really fuel that fatigue.
Hmm.
It's like it's already one thing that the economy is one way and we gotta
Yeah.
deal with the
The oil.
economic pressures. Like
Yeah, the energy,
that's already one thing. You know what I'm saying?
multiple
Inflation prices are
assassinations.
out of
Yeah.
control. But like then to have to deal with it in a social context, like man, bro.
Yeah, because your community does make your day brighter, even when
Yeah.
it's a dark cloud outside, dark
Because if we
cloud over
all
your
going
heart.
if the dark cloud is over all of us, we can all hit each other on the line. Hey, just want to check on you, brighten somebody's day. But if when I hit you, I'm talking about, man, look at what these girls are talking about Megan Thee Stallion. They see themselves in her and they Did you hear such and such talking about how Clay fumbled her? But he done been with like 12 of these bad chicks. How did he fumble? It's like,
Yeah.
really, yo?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
where we at with it. I remember you telling me, bro, about, I guess it was a guy in the mob that talks about the mentality of what makes it easy for them to off people
Mhm. Mhm.
and how you have to just dehumanize them more and more and more.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
first thing you do is you stop calling them by their name. You got to
Yeah.
call them something
A
else.
rat.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, we are essentially doing that to each other with some of these narratives that we come out about.
Yes.
Like, listen, bro, I've been on record saying I typically don't believe what comes from her because I think she has a track record of not telling the truth.
Mhm.
But that in no way justifies her going through any wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm able to detach what my thoughts are
Yeah.
of a person and
Yeah.
still recognize that they deserve love
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
still recognize that they should have their chance at it.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a book out, and that's why I'm looking right now. I thought it was called Less Than Human.
Mm,
Less Than Human. So during the Holocaust, I read this book, and during the Holocaust, Nazis referred to Jews as rats. Hutus involved in the Rwanda genocide called Tutsis cockroaches. Slave owners throughout history considered slaves subhuman animals. We know that from our ancestors' journey in this country. And Less Than Human, David Livingstone Smith argues that it's important to define and describe dehumanization because it's what opens the door for cruelty and genocide.
mm,
We all know, despite what we see in movies, that it's very difficult psychologically to kill another human being up close and in cold blood. That's why they say some of the people who are shooters in prison have a hard time because in prison, you ain't shooting. You got to be up close and
yeah,
personal. And if you ain't used to that, sometimes
you
that
get
can be
rattled.
difficult. Yeah. So when it does happen, it can be helpful to understand what it is that allows people, human beings, to overcome that very deep and natural inhibitions they have against treating other people like game animals or vermin or dangerous predators. Yeah, even in ancient Chinese, Egyptian, and Mesopotamian literature, Smith found repeated references to enemies as subhuman creatures.
Yeah, dehumanizing definitely
Yes.
opens the door to that kind of violence and
Yeah.
genocide. Do you think I mean, I know it's kind of radical to say this, but do you think people are kind of low key committing social genocides to a degree? Going targeting certain social groups and saying they don't deserve love.
I think in this Moises Naim's book, The End of Power, we're in essentially a power clash.
Hmm.
The traditional groups and institutions that had power in the 20th century still have power, but they can't exert it like they used to.
Right.
And now there's been a groundswell of power, but those people in those groundswell groups are not able to exert it in order to overcome traditional institutional powers. So we're essentially in a power clash, and there are no unifying narratives that bring us together. So it's my narrative versus your narrative. I call it narrative warfare. That's actually a
Hmm.
topic that comes out of the military, narrative warfare. And people are clashing, skirmishing, and outright warring every single day from their respective power camps. And I believe it's to essentially demolish, because what happens, I think, after time is people want the war to end, but it's not ending.
Yeah, no.
They have the nail in the coffin, but it's not happening. They hammer it every time they do, the nail falls out of their hands. They got to keep trying to put that dead body away. They can't. And so what I believe is happening is people are looking for what is going to be my atom bomb. What's going to be that one thing or group of things we can say and do that just totally demolish the left or the right or
Hmm.
feminists or manosphere individuals or, fill in the blanks. And it's not happening.
Yeah.
And here's a news flash: because of the structure of the internet, it's never going to happen, because the internet is created to allow more niche communities and niche ideas and ideologies to thrive. It was based out of a military need to exchange ideas with other scientists. DARPA, and that's the beginning stages of what we now call the internet. And so the internet is built to share. That's why there's no such thing as privacy on the internet,
Right.
because the internet was built for sharing, not built for hiding or stashing or being clandestine, excuse me. And this is one of the reasons why everything is just open. And so it's not going to go away if you continue to wage that war on the internet, which most people will, because most of us are
Yeah.
just slacktivists.
Yeah. Ain't nobody boots on the ground like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're slacktivists. You want a war on Twitter, put it all in comments, back and forth with people, but no one's really trying to step out of their comfort zone. Maybe the voting booth, but even then, when you need to put more advocacy or more boots into the ground, even as far as calling your senator, calling your congressperson, advocating for policies, propositions that are going to be voted on, I just don't know the numbers. I don't know
Mhm.
how many people are coming off the comments, coming off the
Yeah,
social media posts, coming off their TikToks, their Grams, their YouTube shorts to really make an impact in their political life in the United States of America through those channels I just mentioned. I don't
yeah.
know of any.
Walking the talk.
Well, I don't
Probably
know
not a
how
lot of
many.
people doing it. Yeah,
Yeah. So it goes online and then we just keep upping the ante in rage, upping the ante in expectation of destruction, yet we're never getting to the destination and people are exhausted.
yeah.
Like all war torn countries, they had a war in Europe, the 30 Years War. You don't think they were tired of all that?
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's shaping us and influencing us and making us that much more angry. We've mentioned this before on the podcast. People who we know go on dates and people are parroting lines from pundits that they listen to in their respective ideological camps. They're judging and assessing you, the person who's on the date, based on how they perceive you, and they put you into a category or label you and say, well, because you're X, you most likely do Y. And you haven't even started the date yet.
right.
Can
You
I just
just said
order a
hello.
salad and a glass of wine? Then you can start to accost
Talking
me?
about single mothers and all of that, you're like, Bro,
Yeah.
hello, my name is."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pay for my bill because you're a man and if you don't, then you're an X or a Y. Similar to in Less Than Human with David Livingstone Smith. You're a bum. You're a
Mhm.
loser. You see this, I think her name is Instagram Ayot. Ayatak. She does a lot of TikToks now about influencers and the way that influencers move, and good thing for me I didn't marry a loser. And this idea of, you're a loser if you can't provide a lot of material turnaround and, backsheesh for individuals who they're partnered with or you're partnered with, then you're a loser. If, your girl can't cook and clean, she's a loser. I mean, we are doing it to ourselves. And the problem is, can't turn it
Yeah, we can't
off.
stop. We can't stop. And
What do we
especially
keep?
to your point, being that it's online, it's just a
Yes.
digital echo chamber that's
Yes.
always
Always
ready,
on. It's
always
always
on.
on.
Yeah, uh-huh. And it's programmed with all of the rage that you love.
TV used to turn off, everybody. Back in the 1950s, you get
Right.
to like 9 or 10 o'clock and it'd be with the multicolored bars, the rainbow bars. It was
TV
until
had a
19.
curfew.
Yeah, TV had a curfew. TV had
Yeah,
a curfew.
yeah.
I love that
That was a
phrase. We need
different
a
time.
t-shirt. TV had a curfew. And then in 1980, they did the first 24-hour news cycle with CNN, Ted Turner, and then cable television, and then TV was on
Mhm.
all the time.
Forget about it. Then TVs got smaller and you could put it in your pocket now. Now you got a TV everywhere you go. So whatever you like to
Yeah,
watch,
exactly. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
always on. It's always with you. That
Yeah.
echo chamber is loud, is all outdoors.
And as I opened up with this episode is, what am I doing here? What are we doing here?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, please.
Well, I was going to say, as you were talking, it was just a reminder that as with any business, we're out here to solve problems.
Yes.
A lot of the pain points that are surfaced in the comments of our TikTok or just from the women in our ciphers, men in our ciphers, like that's why we're here. And I know sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that because it hasn't been the result in the
Hmm.
timeline that we wanted. But as you were talking, as I was thinking about it, the reminder of like, you're here to solve problems, which, every
Yes.
ministry is about.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
we call it ministry, business, whatever we're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
call it.
For
But it's
profit,
like
nonprofit. You have a mission to solve
our
a problem and
mission,
address a
yes.
problem. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, it's not like the dating market isn't inundated with pain points and problems. And we
That's right.
really feel like we have the solution, which is togetherness. I mean, obviously that's a very simple term,
Mhm.
but when you think about what the pain points are, it is, to me, I feel like those are instances that show you what togetherness looks like. If you can see what it doesn't look like, then do the opposite.
Mhm.
Learn from the mistake of just dehumanizing people. What if we started to come, and again, like I talked about in the last episode, what if we started to ask more questions? What if we became more curious and started to take more of a togetherness approach than a antagonistic approach to, I guess, righting some of the wrongs of our past, how we treat each other, what the tensions of this,
Mhm.
gender war are, like the issue. I mean, dating is rife with issues. And if we feel like that's an area that we want to tackle, It's just going to take more conversations with the people that we know, the people in these different communities, broken hearts who are still looking, broken hearts who become cold, people who still have hope, but they just haven't found that person. Like, it's, to me, I was just reminded of why we're here.
No, I appreciate that because now you just inspired me to remind me of why
Hey,
why
see
we're here.
that?
It's electric. Boogie, 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 boogie.
Infectious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it just you just reminded me, right? We're here to solve problems, and if you go to your job every day, you're solving the same problem. But that's what you're there to, because that problem exists in abundance, or it's a perennial problem, and your presence there ensures that problem gets solved.
Effectively.
Yeah, every time the mole comes up, you whack it. That's the whole purpose of whacking a mole.
Hmm.
There's going to be more moles, and there's more whacking that needs to happen, and more mouths that to whack said mole. So I like what you say, because that did inspire me to think about solving a problem and the varied problems that we're familiar with or will be familiar with, because we haven't heard all the stories, and we probably haven't found our niche yet with the type of pain points we can acutely solve with togetherness. I think we have our solution,
Hmm.
togetherness, but we haven't found the cluster of pain points or the pain point where togetherness neatly fits, because everyone's not looking for togetherness. Some people are just looking for a better opportunity for companionship, sexual partners, and a lifestyle that allows them to feel human, but also have light touches with individuals. What togetherness is a very deep, heavy touch with an individual, and allows you to really build upon that to have a thriving relationship. And so, for people who are looking for those light touches, we're not the solution. But for
See,
those,
I actually this I feel like our approach of
Mhm,
togetherness is, to me, the same thing as, the solution, the tactic. So my what I mean is, like, the tactic of thinking about things together as opposed to
mhm, mhm, mhm,
individualistic, I'm coming with my solutions and my solutions are better than yours. Like, to
mhm,
me, the
mhm.
togetherness model is about coming off the power dynamic and putting our heads together.
So you think
So it
that can
may
work in
not
any
it
scenario?
could work in it. To me, I feel like it definitely can. Even if you're just looking for, to me, it's almost the same thing that we say. Even if you want to have something casual, ethics to me are togetherness.
I see what you're saying. Yes, yes, that is a strong bent there. And when you frame it like that, based on what we said before and some of our business planning and brainstorming, that makes sense. You just
Yeah.
want people to understand and respect the humanity of the other person that's there, with certain principles around honesty, communication, patience,
Hmm.
and good follow through. Yeah.
As you would say, like we've been saying lately, taking it back to the golden rule, just treating others how you would want to be treated. Even if you're saying, I know that I'm being objectified, I'm willingly choosing to do that in this relationship, but I know I would appreciate an Uber home at night or just someone checking on me to make sure I got in. I know I would appreciate some sustenance while I'm with this
Yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah.
Can we
Absolutely.
eat? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be treated like what my purpose,
Yeah, you
my
press the
utility,
button, the
what
robot
I'm
just
here
comes
for.
out hanging on. It's like sex robot number 6.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. I hate to make this
Yeah,
religious, but just give me a second. This
yeah.
is it's because it's making me think about something that I was reading recently in Psalm 103 when David was talking about how God doesn't treat him according to his iniquity.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
like that phrase just kept turning over in my head because it's essentially what we're talking about earlier when you referenced Meg. It's like, if y'all want to call out what y'all think is bad about someone's behavior, it's okay to do that. What's not okay is treating them according to that.
Mhm, mhm,
Get
mhm,
get into the place where you feel like you could judge and say they don't deserve love. You can call them out for you can call out all the bad behavior,
mhm.
but when we get to the place of saying somebody doesn't deserve to have their humanity and their dignity upheld, that's what we're saying is problematic. Outright. That's evil. That's dehumanizing.
Yes, yeah. Well, this is what, David Livingston Smith is talking about in Less Than Human, where you start to exchange their name for words or labels or categories that then just make it that much easier to enact violence on them. And then a lot of times this is verbal and social violence that's happening, but in some cases, very harmful.
Mhm.
Sticks and stones, they break my bones, but words will never hurt me. In some cases, these words are, as I said
Hurtful.
before, atom bombs, nuclear devices. And he really gets into that. And the mob thing I talked about was like that when Hitman said, when I have to kill somebody, I can't say this is my brother, this is somebody who's a violator. They lied, they're a liar. You start putting these terms into your head so that you can execute this individual. we are doing that. Oh, he's a manosphere pundit. She's a feminist. And all these terms now have become very loaded with what people believe they are. And these communities also surface their own definitions of these terms, but you never give anyone a chance to really have an engaging conversation around healing. And even some of the debate culture stuff just gets like,
Yeah.
some of it's good conversation. Some of it, though, to me is just whatever. You just become inured to these attempts to bridge gaps or have these cross conversations because they become acrimonious, and it doesn't seem like they're really about learning from each other.
Right.
Because you can still learn from someone, get a better sense of their position without changing yours or changing
Mhm.
your conviction or
Mhm.
changing who you are. You don't have to give up who you are to understand someone else's pain.
Right.
Like you said earlier, and I've said this phrase, your pain is a bridge to understand someone else's pain. And there are things that I can be empathetic about, even though I've never experienced them, because I have experienced loss. I have experienced setbacks. I have experienced disappointment. I have caused setbacks. I have
Mhm.
caused
Pause. Yeah.
disappointments.
Right. Mhm.
I've been
Yep.
the cause of them in other
Yep.
people's lives, good, bad, or indifferent. And so, right, I've been the hero, but I've also been
The
the
villain
villain.
in many cases.
And I can just have as much an innocent argument of why I was. I'll give you an example. When I first was dating my partner, I was bad with time, showing up late to dates, just not really having a strong definition of time that respected her time. And it's easy to say, well, look at all the things I've done and how great a partner I've been all these years. Man, I done elevated her life. And I can definitely say there's been some elevation there on both of our parts. But you wasted her time, right? So it's easy to kind of make your villainary seem, well, I was just confused and I
Mhm.
was trying to figure things out and I was just doing my best to become a better person. And, that needs to be forgiven. And yes, it can be forgiven. It can be, but you have to start with being accountable to how you were moving. And because I've also recognized the times I've been a villain, inadvertently or not, or sometimes maliciously or not, I can now resonate when someone has been the villain and say, yo, there's hope at the end of the tunnel if you're willing to do the work. We're
Hmm.
all not heroes here, guys. We're also all not villains either. We've done some things that we need to repent for and redeem for. We've done some things where we've been the heroes, and we, as the heroes, sometimes need to create space for patience. That doesn't mean tolerate abuse. That
Right.
doesn't mean, just go along with the get along, go along with the okey doke. It just means being thoughtful about the position you have and the power you have, and how are you leveraging that power and privilege to honor your humanity and someone else's humanity. And sometimes honoring the humanity is saying goodbye.
For real.
Take care.
Yeah. And then
Good
not
luck in your
not
endeavors.
smearing
Your boy
not
said
smearing them on the
so.
way out,
Yeah.
not villainizing them on the way
Yeah.
out.
I'm just, just this
Just,
doesn't
"All
work
right,
for me.
we decided to go our se this
Yeah.
no longer works for me.
That's it. That could be honoring someone's humanity.
Peace be the journey."
Yeah. And some people may come
Cool
back.
runnings.
Some people may come back and say, yo, man, I saw, when you did that, I didn't like it, but I now see I was violating. I apologize.
Mhm.
Or they may
Yeah.
not, or they
Yeah.
do it and they do it in their head. But either way, that's to me what this is about, the connection and the empathy. So I'm glad you brought that up a few minutes ago, because that did put a battery in my back for what we're doing here. Because when I called you earlier today, I was through.
Yeah, no. Yeah, same, bro. I felt it's when you said it, I was like, in my head, I was saying it as you were saying it, because I felt the same.
Yeah,
I
because
was
you
just
didn't give
like,
me
"Yo,
no pushback. You were like,
what are we doing?"
yeah, yeah. What are
Reading
we doing?
reading comments, and I'm just like, "Yo," it just seems like people don't even receive hope as hope.
No, they don't. They
Like,
don't.
listen, man, I'm not I don't feel like we're self-aggrandizing in any kind of way, but I know for a fact that our intentions are pure and positive.
Uh-uh.
So this is not me trying to Hollywood or stunt or none of that.
Mm.
But to see the way sometimes, a lot of times, people antagonize the hope that we're trying to put out, it's like, do you want to be happy? Do you want to have hope? Do you want to see, dating culture change? Do you want to be part of shifting that at all? Or do you just want to be angry? Like which one is it? Because
Yeah,
we're actually trying to help shift the conversation, not just for shifting sake. Like we want to see action on the other end of that, where people start having better stories, more positive stories. So it's like, I know what we're promoting and advocating for, but to
yeah.
see the way it gets antagonized and opposed so vehemently, sometimes I'm like, hey, what are we doing, bro? What am I
Yeah.
on?
I also just think we're in a confluence of factors that are being allowed for anger to be reinforced online and offline. We're going to some uncharted territories demographically that America has not seen in quite some time, if ever. And that's coming with uncertainty, and human beings don't do well with uncertainty. That's why I said the power clash, the unifying narrative is not there. And consequently, people are feeling lost. And when you get
Yeah.
lost, sometimes instead of asking for directions, I know where I'm going.
Yeah, and you start reaching and grasping and
Yeah, driving
yeah,
crazy.
causing chaos.
And on that note,
Yeah. No, thank y'all for listening. This was like a live vent session.
yeah, it was. It was.
So
We had
thank
none planned
y'all.
for today's. Yeah, we just, as I said, this is a maintenance stop,
We were in
pit
our
stop.
feelings, and
Yeah.
I said to Heath, like, I wanted to, like, explicitly say that because y'all need to know that sometimes men do vent,
Hmm.
and as a part of our community, we appreciate your feedback. So
Yeah,
we wanted to
absolutely.
be vulnerable with our feelings today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thank y'all.
Until next time, this is, till next episode, I'm Heath.
I'm Jamie, y'all.
Take care.